a potential investor looking to buy rental properties, turnkey certainly provides an interesting solution, but you're not buying these properties at a discount. You're buying them at the premium market rate, and
Yeah.
I mean you're lucky to get a 6 or 7% cap rate, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's why we kind of said like we got to get the as much value for our clients as possible.
Yeah,
And transparently, that looks better for us, right? Like if next, as we go out and refinance on their behalf and look, the appraisal came up higher, that looks better on us, right?
yeah, and so that's all the more reason if you're sourcing the deals for me, and I'm basically qualifying for the loan, but then you're effectively, well, and I'm bringing some cash probably, right? So I'm bringing
Yeah.
some cash, I'm qualifying for the loan, and you guys are doing your thing, and then you're refinancing and getting like my money back.
Yeah.
I was like, how can we do more, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like
Yeah,
our goal is to get the max of on the refi so we can get you into more units, right? So
sure.
the whole model kind of works in your favor.
Now, do you guys only do single family, or will you do like a duplex or a quadplex too?
Yeah, we'll do those, but like our system will only be able to search like existing listings, both on market, off market. We don't really have our technology layer doesn't have the ability to say, here's a house. What would it look like if we converted it to a duplex? So
Hmm.
that we can't do on scale. I mean, we could technically do that on a human level, but that would be a bottleneck. But if
Sure.
somebody comes to us and says, I'm looking for existing duplex, triplex, or quad, then yeah, we can search existing on market deals for those.
Okay. Yeah, because that's kind of the we'll maybe uh, put a pin in the single family versus multifamily conversation because I want to get to that because I think it's an interesting conversation. But I'm in the place where like another single family property doesn't really change my life.
Mhm.
Whereas if I'm trying to scale up, I'm looking at multifamily, but I just love the loan products that are available for the 1 to 4 units. So
Yeah,
I find that the best bang for the buck is find those four plexes.
yeah,
I love them. I mean, they're not everywhere, but when you find them, I mean, you're the same amount of effort for me is getting me 4 units when I'm also qualifying for that same loan product. Do y'all
yeah,
agree with that philosophy?
yeah. Like I always think that like a single family is a great sort of dip your toe entry point.
Totally.
Right. And then as you kind of build your spend and your risk tolerance, and yeah, going up and getting the multi-unit, because on a per unit basis, yes, multifamily is more affordable, but like typically the whole building as a whole without having to take outside money is a lot more, is a higher sort of entry point.
For
Again,
sure.
market specific.
For sure.
Um, but yeah, like we do like multi, and actually our head of investments comes from one of the largest sort of multifamily private equity firms. So that's actually his bread and butter,
I
is
see.
multifamily. But I think what we're trying to do with share is try to level the playing ground in terms of diversification with single
Yeah.
family. Yeah.
Yeah, there's certainly that brings it to the table. Like let's get into this debate of single family versus multifamily. What are the pros and cons? And let's say I'm coming from the place of I really believe multifamily is the way to go. What is your counter argument that single family might be a good consideration still?
Yeah, I wouldn't say you're wrong. I would say just as of recently, the playing field levels for sort of the two in terms of pros and cons, I feel like have kind of leveled out. So
Okay.
I think like the core reason why a lot of people go multi over single is because of the diversification, right? I can hedge
Mhm.
my doors, in terms of like if I have a vacancy, I'm going to compare one single family to a multifamily dwelling. So yeah, if you have a fourplex, one person's vacant, at least I've got three doors still paying me, right? So I've got that diversification. Now, I think the counterpart of that was that, because single families were traditionally very hard to manage on scale, to get property management is probably harder on a single family than it is on the multi. But over the last, let's call it 5, 10 years, actually maybe since the '08 mortgage crisis, a lot of sort of the surrounding operating partners, like again, the property management companies, that came a long way. The DSCR loans came a long way, and now technology. So I'll start with the property management piece. The property management piece before was very hard to get, like what scattered SFR management, single family rental scattered. It was tough. But now there are property management companies that only focused on scattered single family rental. So our property management partner, one of them, they have I think over 40,000 doors. We ask them, hey, can you take a look at this multi? And they're like, how many units? And we're like, six. Like, sorry, can't. And I'm thinking, why not? Right. So their whole operation changes. They focus solely on single family rental. So like that is their sort of bread and butter. And now, like, I think that has sort of made things easier. And then you add the technology there where we're saying, okay, you can buy all over the country as opposed to this one particular region. And now you've got great diversification. I'm not even say just the country in multiple parts of the state. And now you've got great diversification. And one of our pros of single family is that, you could buy fourplex in a particular city and then maybe buy the equivalent of two single family detached homes in two different metros. And now you're not sort of beholden or vulnerable to those local economics or local bylaws. So if another Detroit, Michigan automotive industry collapses, your whole investment portfolio isn't vulnerable. You've maybe just one or two units, while the rest of them are in other sort of hubs for other sort of professions and industries that are rather unscathed.
I think
So
it makes a lot of sense. And the real challenge that I've had trying to scale my my single family portfolio is not having that management solution that I really trust and not having the boots on the ground and resources to do it in other markets. I have done a lot of single family deals in other markets, and the further away from that market I am, the worse luck I've had
right,
because I didn't have because it's building that new network in every market you go to is the hardest part of this business, I think. Like
yeah,
looking at the fundamentals of the real estate, understanding the numbers is super easy once you do it a few times, right? Like the
right,
numbers in this business are not complicated, but having the people and the resources to make the management of those properties happen is the magic. And if you
yeah,
guys have solved that, that convinces me, and probably someone listens to this, that maybe this is something I should revisit instead of going and finding the next multifamily 30 unit apartment complex. I may just be able to kind of inch my way into a really diverse portfolio across a larger metropolitan area.
yeah. And like I'll give you a specific example. Like, so although we're a tech company, we don't think we'll ever remove a human quality control check in terms of local expertise. So for example, we had this one pre-construction deal in Memphis for a long time, for 4 months, waiting for it. Had it said, we were going to sign for it. We liked the neighborhood was a bit of a questionable neighborhood, but the location within that questionable area was not bad because it was right across the street from a community center, lots of foot traffic, which means less crime. And we liked the fact that there's a community center there. But by the time it had come out, like, and we do a desktop appraisal, we send it to a local PM and a local agent to kind of make
Okay,
sure we're not out to lunch.
sure.
But by the time now the project was done, our local agent was like, we just found out that that community center is actually going to be shutting down.
Ah,
And we're like, oh crap, okay, not good. So we decided to walk away from that deal.
yeah.
The seller offered us a discount, but we said like it's too risky now at that point. So having the local boots, having the local knowledge, I don't think we could ever kind of remove that.
Mm. So I'm really excited about this idea of using my available cash, my short-term cash, that I can buy a property and do the Burr method. Having someone like you guys basically doing what I feel like to be the hard part of the business. And it sounds like you're actually operating more efficiently than my existing property managers are. So you would actually be saving me money on my current portfolio and saving me money on the future acquisitions that I'm doing and then doing a DSCR type loan now to refinance. And when we do those refinances on the back end, do you do it on a per property basis or can you do a portfolio DSCR?
Yeah, so we have lenders that will do portfolio. So on the refinancing, we kind of gather the data points and say, here's the lender, here's the work. And then typically it's the client that has to kind of bring up we'll bring all the documentation necessary.
Sure.
But yeah, we can do individual portfolio loans, blanket mortgages. We have lenders for all of those
Yeah, and to
options.
me, that isn't that bad of a process. Like I'm super comfortable doing that. If you've already done the research and you have this Chinese menu of of options of lenders to choose
Yep.
from, then obviously make my own decisions because I'm the one signing for the note. I need to do my homework. But then the rest of it's like you guys manage the project. You get it rehabbed and
Yeah.
rent it up, and then we refinance it, and we just like really repeat, like do the Burr method. Do
Yeah.
the numbers still work for the Burr method? I know that with the higher interest rates, it's a little bit harder to kind of get all your money back. Is that still working for people?
So we don't actually like we don't promote like Burr being our core competency.
Okay,
So we don't chase an like our client can give us a multitude of numbers to chase. Like
sure.
here's my cash shortfall I want for a year, and then it needs to be cash flow positive after next year's rent
I
hike.
see.
But one thing we do not kind of chase is an ARV. So the way we do our math is like, look, we're gonna take the purchase price and your renovation budget, and that's the value we're coming at. And then you can kind of back into potentially what the ARV might be. But when we go out and refinance, our sort of best case scenario is that our year over year appreciation rate is in place. So if we do it in like 12 months, it's like, okay, we saw like 3 or 4% appreciation. That's what we'll unlock.
I see.
But we try not to just also because right now, I think what you're alluding to is appraisals have been bang on. It's
Yeah.
like purchase price, renovation, appraisal. So that's another sort of reason why we kind of don't say that we don't promote the Burr or at least don't sort of forecast it for you.
Right. So it's likely that you're going to be ca capturing some cash in the deal. So you'll have equity, but the equity is going to be your cash that's left in there, not forced appreciation.
Yeah, yeah. So like some of our more patient clients will say, hey, look, if you're going to look for a deeper rehab project, and mind you, like maybe I'll put context of rehab, deep rehab. For us, a deep rehab is like 35, 40K and up. Whatever wouldn't qualify for a DSCR mortgage. So those DSCR lenders, they want to make sure it's livable.
Yep.
And it's typically anything, we find that dollar amount to be like 40K and up.
Yep.
But we won't do any sort of like heavy structural changes, 3 to 4 bed or anything, just completely like top to bottom gut,
Yep.
um, but not moving any walls or anything. So with that being said, yeah, we don't kind of promote that, and we say, look, if you're patient and if you want to go for some of those bigger projects, maybe we wait 12 months or 24 months so that we think interest rates will drop obviously too, and then
Sure.
the appraisers, nobody wants to be that idiot that overappraised in this market. So
Right.
we think they'll loosen up in a couple months or like a year, and then that's probably the best time to pull our cash out and go again.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so as we start to wrap up here, this has been a really interesting conversation, and I'm very interested in talking some more about this. And I think anybody listening to this should also be interested because there is, I think, a huge opportunity in finding properties that cash flow now and holding those properties for the long term. That's to me, that's the play right now. That's the fundamental play of real estate.
Yeah,
And if it makes sense now, it's probably going to make sense in the future because
yeah,
we're at a an inflection point where we feel like we've hit the top of where interest rates are going to be for the next, I don't know, 5, 10 years. We don't know exactly. But that's kind of the tea leaves or the what a lot of people would say is going to happen. Interest rates likely will be coming down in the next year or two. We don't know exactly about how much. But if you can buy some of these properties now, do a refinance at current or maybe even a percent higher than now, and it still makes sense to buy these properties, the housing shortage in this country is not going away. And
yeah,
people need a place to live. And people would prefer to live in single family houses than apartments.
yeah. You are buying battle tested products, right? If you're buying in this
Yes, I
market.
love that term battle test because and I just think in principle residential real estate, whether it be multifamily or single family, is a very safe place to be
I agree.
because it's a as long as our population continues to grow and our supply of that product continues to lag behind that demand, like you're going to stay up with inflation, if not beat inflation, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, and it naturally fights the inflation because real estate tends to keep pace with inflation. It's just
Yep.
a really good time to get into it, I think. Uh, is there anything about this approach or y'all's business that I have failed to ask that you would like to cover before we wrap up?
No, I think you did a great job. We're not. So I think one thing to note, we're not co-owning this thing. It's direct ownership by the
Uh,
end client. Our asset management agreement is not so sticky. I mean, we do ask for a 2-year lockup period,
mhm.
but it's your home. You can fire us at any time. We would just prorate our asset management fee for 2 years, and
Yep.
then you can go do what you want to do. So, we say in the next 10 years, we're going to 10x your portfolio. When you're ready to retire, you can fire us, self-manage, and save on the management fees
Or just have you guys manage it forever and like
forever.
retire. That
Yes.
seems like a pretty good idea to me.
Yeah.
The idea, I mean, people may want to do this, but the idea of retiring and then managing my own rentals is like I have done something wrong if that's the way I end up in retirement. I mean, it'd be a nice
Uh,
backup, I guess, but I don't want that to be the case at all.
yeah, I hear you. I hear
Yeah.
you.
Okay, so where can people find out more about you? I'm definitely going to be going and signing up and looking for deals. Where
Awesome.
can everybody else do the same?
Yeah, website sharesfr.com. Go there, create a free account. There's a bit of a questionnaire when you start. And then inside of our portal, you can look at some sample and past deals. But what you see is not everything we can get. When
Okay.
we have a client, we start searching, their deals go custom, our custom deal buy box deals, they go directly to them so nobody else sees them. So whatever you see there are sort of buy box adjacent. And then we said, hey, these are good deals. Take a look at them anyways, and usually somebody puts their hands up.
Yeah, I love it. You guys, one of the very first questions on your website is want to own rental property but don't want to be a landlord? Yes. Book a call. That's what I would say. Let's get into that business.
Awesome.
Because Share will take care of the asset management for you, top tier
Yeah.
property management. And I mean, that solves a major problem for a lot of investors is is having the asset management feature for a very diversified rental portfolio. Super smart.
It's funny because a lot of our property management they're large. They've
Yeah.
realized that they did some of them did service the retail client and then
Yep.
went to institutions, and now they're trying to offload their retail clients to us and saying
Sure.
they're looking for asset managers, they just don't know it.
I think you're right. I have never thought about trying to find an asset manager for my single family portfolio. I didn't think I had a big enough portfolio to qualify.
Nope, you do.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk. Everybody
Yeah.
else, go and find Andrew at sharesfr.com.